Well, good morning, guys. So today is the 17th of November. So here in Ontario, it's starting to get crispy cold right now. I'm not sure if you can see on the film or on the camera right now, but there is a little bit of a dusting of snow on this plowed field that we're looking across. We're looking across at a sunrise. We have a line of trees between us and the sunrise, say in the mid-ground, and we just a plowed field with a little bit of snow on it in the foreground, the sunrise in the background. I didn't plan to shoot a sunrise today. I'm not sure if it's going to actually be a very good sunrise today. But the reason why I stopped right here this morning on my way to what we are going to shoot today, I noticed some color in the sky. Now it's early. It's still a good maybe 8, 10, 12, 15 minutes before sunrise. But again, it's not what I set out to shoot today. I set out to shoot a woodland scene, the local forests. But the last 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 times that I have been out to shoot a sunrise, it's just rained and rained and rained. And even though on my computer and my smartphone I have an app that tells me, hey, tomorrow you've got like a 90% chance of a sunrise. Doesn't happen. It just rains and rains and rains. Well, the sunrise does happen, but it just doesn't happen where I happen to be. Today, we didn't plan the sunrise. We're going somewhere else, but we're starting to get some color in the sky, so we're starting to take a few shots. We were just set up here on this country road. I've got my tripod, I have a cable release, my L bracket. I'm using my 28 to 135mm lens, and I'm using my Canon 5D Mark II. So yeah. That's what we're doing. Hey, Gary here with Gary Clayton Photography. Welcome to my YouTube channel, episode number 37, I believe. And let's see how we're making out. So right now we have an f-stop of f8, an ISO of 400, and that's giving us a shutter speed of 1/8 of a second. Okay, let us see what that looks like. So yeah, so let me turn the GoPro around towards the horizon. You can see the scene that I'm looking at. So what we have here is we have the beginning of the light or the sunrise in the far background. You can see the orange in the sky just underneath the gray. In the midground we have a row of trees. Those trees right now are being almost silhouetted by the light behind. I expect that silhouette character to actually increase as the light becomes brighter, and then of course as the sun rises it will disappear. And in the foreground we just have a plowed field. There's a farm barn over to the right, and there's a little dusting of snow in the plowed field. So that's what we're actually looking at this morning, or right now, for our sunrise shot. We can see some beautiful color starting to develop up in the sky there. So right now, guys, we are getting the most stunningly beautiful sunrise. Just take a look at this. Absolutely beautiful. We are capturing some still images. Again, you've got some beautiful color now just transferring all the way through the sky right above us here as the sunrise takes place. We've got the trees silhouetted in the background. We had the farmer's barn to our right. What an absolutely beautiful scene we've got this morning. Of course, we're going to set up on our tripod. I have a cable release. What an absolutely amazing sunrise. let's take a shot. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Right now we have an f-stop of f8. We have a shutter speed of 1/4 of a second. We have a focal length of 72 mil. An ISO of 400. Absolutely beautiful. What a beautiful day to be out. Just look now, you can almost just see that sunlight just kind of disappearing, that color kind of disappearing and fading away. You only have a brief moment to capture a sunrise when the conditions are just right. We did this morning experience some really amazing conditions for a brief period of time. I hope we were able to capture that image because it was absolutely beautiful. So right now, we're actually in the woodland areas that we set out to come to this morning. And this is one of the locations that I'd been thinking about, and I'd seen it really from the side of the little dirt road as I drove by here sometimes. And I wanted to come inside and take a little look. It really is quite interesting, but it's really hard to make some kind of composition out of the chaos that's here. It's very, very, very interesting. So I've walked around here for about 20 minutes through this little forest, and you know what? I'm going to move on a little bit. There's other locations and more areas that I want to check out first or next. This particular location just isn't working really well for me. It's just too much chaos here this morning, and it just doesn't feel right. So we're going to move on. We're going to look at a few other places. But this is very interesting. It's interesting to be in here, which is not what I'm thinking this morning. But anyhow, let's continue. So, about 4 or 5 miles from where we were previously, where that forest just wasn't working for me, we're in another area here now. Different kind of trees, different kind of growth, totally different environment, and yet only a short distance away. But what we have here is totally naked trees with a few smaller sapling or smaller trees with still a little bit of dried fall color foliage or leaves on some of their limbs, and it's making for really quite an interesting contrast. So I set up here on my tripod again my Canon 5D Mark II 28 to 135 mil lens. Right now I have a focal length of 35 mil. I have an f-stop of f8. It's giving me a shutter speed of 1/120th of a second, and I just took that shot. I'm going to show you that shot right now, by the way. So, again, it's just a great morning to be out. I'm going to change lenses too. I want to try out my 17 to 40 mil. I want to see how wide that looks on this. For me, if you guys have been watching my other YouTube channels, you'll know that I'm relatively new to this full frame particular camera. I've always shot crop sensor. I've shot my 50D, my 40D, my 7D. I am a Canon shooter. So going to a full frame, I am finding it totally different, or quite a difference with the focal length on given lenses. And that does take a little bit of getting used to, but I'm thoroughly enjoying the resolution, and I'm enjoying the benefits of having full frame. So yeah, I'm going to change the lens. I'm going to try my 17 to 40 mil lens in here and see what that looks like, and try a few different compositions, but this forest is really interesting. Okay, so we've changed to the 17 to 40 mil lens. Now this is a constant f4. It's an L series lens, so it's a good lens. The work I've done with it so far in the short time I've had this lens has been amazing. The quality is excellent, crystal clear, glass just beautiful. So right now we're actually on a focal length of 27 mil. You know what, that's okay. It's kind of interesting and I'm liking it, but you know what we're going to do is we're going to take several exposures, several shots in exactly the same position, with several levels of exposure. We're going to create an HDR image from this. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Correctly exposed, one shot. One step over, one step under, two stops under, and another one right there. Now I like to go back to correctly exposed, one shot over, one stop over, two stops over. Whenever you adjust your camera, give it a moment to make sure there's no shake. And two stops over. So right there we've about 7 images of 2 correctly exposed, 3 shots, 1 stop, 2 stop and 3 stops under, 2 shots, 1 stop over, 2 stops over. We're going to, in Lightroom and Photoshop, we're going to merge that together. We're going to create an HDR image from that. And if it turned out, I'm going to show it to you. So yeah, hey, I'm going to walk through this forest a little bit more and see if we can find some other compositions, because it is really quite interesting and I am enjoying it in here. So hey, let's go, let's walk through, let's have a little look, see what else we can find. Okay, so coming through the forest for another 10-15 minutes, we've come across the same kind of composition that we had last time. We've got the tall naked trees, then we've got the smaller saplings with still some very dry, kind of crisp, light goldeny coloured leaves still attached to them. And it's making quite an interesting contrast, especially with the grey sky and then the white of the snow dusting that we have this morning. So again, we've set up on the tripod. I have my cable released once more, and we are showing for correct exposure at an ISO of 100 and f8 1/30th of a second. There's the shot. Yeah, you know, it's that's interesting. Really is interesting. I think I just want to take the exposure down a little bit. There's a lot of brightness out there. So let's just drop that to 1/50th of a second and try that shot. Better. Let's just take that down to 1/80th of a second. So that's right now showing about 1 2/3 stops under and a much better exposure. Okay. Up to now we've been shooting in kind of an horizontal or landscape configuration. I'm just going to take this off, the camera off here, and we're going to go to a vertical or portrait configuration, or composition if you will, and we're going to have a look and see what we can do with that, just for fun, because why not? We are here and we can do that. Oh yeah, that's interesting right there. That's interesting right there. Oh yeah. That's really interesting. Excuse me. That's really interesting. Okay, so let's take a couple of shots. at a vertical orientation. Yeah, you know what? That's really nice. Okay, guys. Well, we're back at the car. It's cold this morning, by the way. It's very, very cold. Or it feels very cold. It's going to get much colder. It's only the 17th of November, and it's going to get a lot colder yet. But hey, it's been a great morning.